For this video, I'm going to walk you through how to use the TI-84 to find a regression equation and use the equation to answer additional questions about the problem. So for this particular problem, I'm referring to our e-text, page 146, and it's problem number 51. If you haven't already, pause the video to read the full question statement. One thing that I advise students to do, and they do several problems like this, is to completely reset their calculator unless you have a good familiarity of how to reset individual pieces in your calculator. So if this is still very new to you, I would suggest just resetting. So to do so, you press the second key, the plus key. Number 7 is reset. Number 1 is reset all. And then number 2 is again reset. And you should see this message on your calculator screen. It just clears out any old data, any old window settings, and things of that nature. Again, not the only way, but it's kind of a one-stop shop. So next, we want to give the calculator this data. To do so, we press Stat, Enter, and then in L1, we're going to type our X list, which is usually the first column or the first row. For the purposes of our course, it should always be so. And then for L2, we're going to type our second list, the second column, the second row, whatever that may be. So as you type in these numbers, like for instance, here is 8.8, the first number in the list, I can press Enter to then put that number in that cell. 11 is the next number, press Enter, and so forth and so on. So I'm going to pause my video and fill in that list. And before you move too far away from this, you do want to glance through this list and make sure that looks appropriate from the list that you had in print. So there's no missing decimals or missing digits. To get to the next column, I can just press my right arrow, and I'm over here in now L2, and I will type in the data for L2. Here at this point, you may want to see just these points on your graph. And if you want to do so, you would go to Second, Y equals, press Enter to get into plot 1, and press Enter to turn it on. Everything else by default should already be referencing scatter plots, drawing these points that are given in your list. So I don't foresee us needing to change anything for the purposes of our course. After that, if you want to quickly change the window to match your points given to you in the problem, press Zoom and then number 9 for Zoom Stat. This tells me, it's just an overall picture, as diameter increases, volume increases, because my points are going up as I read the graph from left to right. And if I think back to sense making and my experience, that does make sense, that as the diameter increases, the volume would increase. So next, let's find the equation of the regression line. And this is going to be Stat, right arrow, number 4. You're going to scroll down to where it says Store Regression Equation. You will press Alpha, Trace, Enter. Scroll down to where it says Calculate, and also press Enter. Jot down these values for A and B, and notice where they go in what the calculator is calling its linear regression equation. It's y equals ax plus b. Normally we say mx plus b, ma, they're using interchangeably here, or they're meaning the same thing, in other words. Because you did that little y1 piece with the alpha trace, when you press y equals, this equation's already here in your y equals screen, meaning that when you press graph, the graph of the line also already appears here on the screen. But again, if you just need those values, here they are. And usually that's enough information if we need to type in an equation for my math lab purposes or into some other technology, we can do so from here. Next, after we found this regression line, we were asked to then estimate the volume if the diameter is 15 inches. So I have a formula per se right here. And what I can do with that formula is plug in my parameters, A being 5.689 approximately, times X, which X, remember, is a diameter, and we're given a diameter for this particular question of 15. And then plus negative 45-ish, okay? I can either type in plus negative, or I can just go ahead and type minus 45.582 and press enter. This is what I expect the volume to be given a diameter of 15 inches and using the regression equation, that equation of the line, which came from the data that was collected of different samples of diameters and volumes.